Greetings everyone, my name is KG Prestige and welcome back to another video here on this channel where we are going to go ahead and talk about Pokemon, specifically Pokemon Day, because Pokemon Day is right around the corner. Well, not really, it's about 20 something days away. I think it's in February 27th, so we got a good while, but I thought I'd get a head start real quick to go and just talk about my personal predictions, theories, speculations on what I would like to see from Pokemon Day, and to see if by some miracle a month from now when we actually get to see that, I actually end up being either correct on a lot of my predictions, maybe on all of them, or maybe fail all of them, or maybe pass some and pass and fail some. So I don't really know how this is going to go for this personal presentation. But I think I'm very curious to see what they're going to dabble with. And I thought, you know what, let's just go ahead, quickly share what I would personally like to see, my wild ass predictions, and of course some of the theories that a lot of people have been making online as well. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So for starters, let's go ahead and get rid of a lot of what I would call the essentials, the ones that are always going to be presented in there. So these are things that would be to no surprise to anyone. We know that they've been like this throughout every single year, so they're probably going to do it again this year, such as certain mobile games, certain announcements of events and all that. So for sure, I'm pretty confident that it's going to be a key element for what they're going to present for this year. So the real question I guess we should begin with is, what year is it in particular? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is the year, if I'm correct, of the dragon. Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be starting things off with the year of the dragon, because I'm going to assume that is going to play like a key focus with a lot of the things that are going to be revealed in this Pokemon Presents. I don't know why. I think it would be a really cool deal for them to do something special with this year, especially given the fact that we got some two cool little lads, specifically named Koraidon and Miraidon, that I think would be kind of cool to see get some love in some form for dragon purposes, you know. Actually, not thinking about it, it's Koraidon and Miraidon dragon. I gotta go take a look at this. Koraidon, what is your typing? Koraidon is a fighting dragon. Okay, so yeah, the other one's electric. Okay, so yeah, they're dragons. So you know what? Let's go ahead. let's make Koraidon and Miraidon be a core aspect of this event. So obviously, we're gonna see a lot of Koraidon and Miraidon representation in this particular presentation. So for starters, I obviously expect to see them talk a little bit about Koraidon and Miraidon in a bunch of mobile games. So maybe, for example, over at the Pokemon Cafe Remix, they're going to introduce both Koraidon and Miraidon. I don't know if they have been or not. If they haven't, great, because that means that that's where they'll get introduced here, so that they can coincide with the, you know, Year of the Dragon, and be like, hey, look, here you go, have a dragon right here, and if you're lucky enough and feed its necessary foods, you too can go ahead and obtain yourself one of these lovely pals to be in your cafe crew. So that's obviously going to be a given. I'm assuming Cafe Remix is going to have some form of representation here. And also, speaking about that, I think Pokemon Masters EX is also going to have a big representation here. In regards to maybe not Koraidon and Miraidon, maybe not, I'm not sure, but I'm going to assume that they might have some connections with the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet protagonists. So maybe this will be how they're going to slowly introduce more of the characters from Scarlet and Violet through this presentation. And maybe they might say, oh, by the way, Koraidon and Miraidon might not be attached to any new trainer coming out via, say, the gacha, but rather it's one of those boss legendaries that you could fight. So that could be something that they may do for Koraidon and Miraidon. So if not, then I would assume that they would have this would be a huge stretch, and I highly doubt they're gonna do some shit like this, where they're gonna have you know, Sada or Turo be involved in this dabble thing right now. Now, mind you, we do know, thanks to certain characters that appeared not too long ago, that time travel in Masters EX is a thing. So because of that, who knows? Maybe we might get Sada and Turo prior to, well, spoilers for Scarlet and Violet, but yeah, prior to the events that play out. So maybe they will actually have one of them as the companions. Who knows? Anything can happen in this game. So it's a matter of when and if they will show that off during the Pokemon Presents. But I assume Koraidon and Miraidon are going to be presented in some form. Maybe not in the way that we think, but just in some fashion. So yeah. Obviously, Pokemon Go is also going to play another key role as well. I'm going to assume that they may have just I'm going to that this is a really big stretch. I highly doubt they might do this, but they may have something dragon themed related. I don't think they're going to show off Koraidon and Miraidon in that one. I think that's still relatively early, but I still believe that they're going to have dragon elements be presented where you're going to have a higher chance of encountering dragon type Pokemon throughout a particular time frame during like those special timed events. And then maybe, just maybe, if things go well, you might even find yourself with a shiny or, say, an encounter with a legendary dragon Pokemon. Who's to say what it could be? I don't know, but it'd be pretty cool. Wouldn't you agree? So yeah, that's what I'm gonna assume with some of the mobile games. Pokemon Unite is also gonna be another thing. That would be really cool if they introduced Koraidon or Miraidon into that. I would like to favor more Koraidon at the beginning, and then maybe later down the road they'll add Miraidon. I don't know why. I just think Koraidon would just be a cooler addition into the crew. So I would love to see Koraidon be a member in Unite, and maybe that might get me invested into trying out the game again. So I wouldn't mind giving it a shot. And would love to see one of the dragons actually be a playable character that you can use in said title. So who knows? That could be the case. Now, obviously, let's go ahead and talk about the main title in and of itself, Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. The DLC has recently concluded with the DLC packs of, what is it called? The Indigo Disc and the Teal Mask. So now we also got our hands on the epilogue, which was featuring this weird looking peach thing whatsoever right there. And there were a lot of additional side quests that were also incorporated into this as well. So make sure if you haven't yet played the game after the DLC was concluded to check around and see if maybe you can spot some of those little Easter eggs as well. There was a really cool cutscene from what I've been told that features the professors. So I really would love to get my hands on that when I get a chance. But anyway, the reason I'm going into this is because I'm going to assume raids are going to be a thing. Raids and hordes of Pokemon. Where we're going to see just a swarm of dragon Pokemon, similar to what we already saw earlier in the year, where we saw, what was it, Dratini, we saw Como, or Jangmo, and what was the other one? I forgot the name of it. I don't remember. But the point of the matter is I'm going to assume that they will be in here within this one. And maybe there'll be a second batch. Maybe we'll start seeing an increase on, say, Gumi. And maybe Axu. And then who else is another good dragon Pokemon to incorporate into this mish? So you get the idea. I'm going to assume dragon elements are going to be incorporated into that. And of course in raid battles, I'm going to assume that we might get a bigger emphasis on more dragon Pokemon as well. Where they might introduce some 5-star raid legendary battles against particular ones that are of dragons. So who knows? It's a matter of if they will do something like that. But I feel like the biggest one that would be really cool to have, that I think a lot of people would also appreciate, because this is a big stretch, but I would love it, because it is the year of the dragon, and we are still technically with Pokemon Scarlet and with Pokemon Violet, it would be awesome for them to incorporate a freebie, giving you either a free shiny Koraidon or a free shiny Miraidon, depending on the version you have. So let's say, for example, you have your hands on Pokemon Violet. You don't actually get Miraidon, you get Koraidon. And for Pokemon Scarlet fans, you guys, instead of getting Koraidon, you get Miraidon. And that would be a really cool way of just kind of sharing off the dragon vibe. So you get the dragon of the opposite version. I don't know. I thought that would be a really nice touch. Now, mind you, I don't think they're going to do this because I don't think they're going to do this. So I think instead they're just going to give you free materials for your sandwiches. That's as far as that goes. In fact, I think to even go ahead with that one, I think they're going to give you free sandwich materials in particular that increase the rates of encountering dragon type Pokemon. That's going to be their big bonanza that they're going to reveal in this particular presentation. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong with that one. But hey, who knows? It might be the case. I also would like to see When it comes to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, maybe there might be something more to the game as well. I don't know. Maybe there might be an additional epilogue to really wrap things up. I really would like to get a sort of conclusion to everything. I mean, like, after all the side quests, after all the missions and the storyline. No, just literally just have all the characters together for one final treat that has nothing of craziness involved whatsoever, and it's just more so the characters sort of uh, giving it like a closure to everything, with the gym leaders, with the protagonists, with the side characters, and especially with Koraidon and Miraidon. I think that would be a nice way to wrap things up for the story of Scarlet and Violet. Now, mind you, like I said, I haven't played the epilogue yet as of this moment, so I have no idea if they dabble on that. But if they haven't, I think that would be a nice little detail right there to do, and I would appreciate that. So yeah, and that's really it when it comes to, say, the things I expect to see. Now, mind you, there's some additional stuff that I probably didn't tackle that I assume will be discussed here. For example, I imagine that they're going to finally give more details. Now, mind you, we already know everything, but just in case, because the anime, at least for the dub site, is finally going to release, I think, about a week or two after the presentation. So I just assume that they're probably going to go ahead and share off details more about the new Pokemon Horizons dub series and let you know where you can find it, etc. And now saying we apologize for the delay, and here you go. Look forward to Horizons dub, the series, when it becomes available on streaming platforms. So I think that's going to be one of the things that they'll talk about. The TCG, I think they're also probably going to dabble a little bit on it as well. Maybe they'll give us a little tease for what the next is going to be like. Now, mind you, I think we kind of already have a hunch, but just to kind of give us just a little taste for what's coming for the future, I think that would be really nice. Yeah, that's really it for the TCG side of things. I assume they're probably also going to talk about the when the next major, or not really when, but like more information about the Pokemon World Championship. I'm going to assume that's going to be a big key thing that they'll also probably discuss in this presentation as well. So that will be something worth noting. All right, so I feel like I dabbled on all of the things that are what I would call now what we expect to see from this presentation. Like, the length of the video right now is probably going to be the amount of time that's going to take for them to actually cover all of those things. Now, of course, once again, like I said, I did miss out on some things. I didn't dabble too much on Pokemon Sleep. I assume they're probably going to talk a little bit about it there too. I assume they're probably also going to talk a little bit about what else is there to talk about that maybe I missed out? Maybe they'll bring another game to the NSO. I don't know. That would be really cool. I think we're missing one NSO game. I don't know if the Puzzle League Champion was available on it. The one for the Game Boy Color. I think that would be really cool to have that there. If it's not there already, mind you. I don't know if it is or isn't. But I think just adding some more titles to the Nintendo Switch Online will probably be something that they may go on. So it would be really nice to see. And that's really it for what I expect to see from majority of what I just talked about. So the games, the mobiles, the TCGs, and all that. Yeah, just a typical presentation. Nothing really out of the ordinary. I just don't think that there's going to be anything bombastic from these particular titles. I really do believe that the Year of the Dragon is probably going to be a key focus for all of those titles that I've addressed before. They're going to not maybe feature all the legendaries in Dragon-wise in those titles, but I do believe Dragon-themed related content is going to be tied into these events in some way, shape, and form. So I guess we'll have to wait and see for when we learn more about that. But as of right now, that's personally what I believe is going to be, well, the case. So now then, where do we go from here? This is where I start thinking we're going to enter the it may happen, may not really happen, and highly doubt it'll happen kind of discussion. So this is where I'm going to go ahead and start dabbling a little bit on my personal predictions of what I believe is going to be the big ones in my eyes anyway. Now, mind you, they may be big to me, but probably small to you, but I still believe that these are titles that should still be noteworthy to discuss. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. First of all, we need more Pokemon spin-off games. Let's be real. And right now, we are in a lack of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. So we recently well, not recently, but like a couple of years ago, we got our hands on Pokemon Mystery Dungeon DX, which is based off the Game Boy Advance games of Red Rescue Team and Blue Rescue Team. That was on the DS, if I'm correct. So I believe now that some time has passed since those titles had dropped. And by the way, that game visually still looks really nice. So I feel that enough time has passed for them to go ahead and work on the sequel. The one that everybody has been curious to see if they will indeed make a DX version of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky. Now, mind you, there was the other version, the two separate ones, but given that they're doing a DX of everything, I'm going to go under the assumption that they're probably going to take it from Sky and incorporate that into the new remake of Mystery Dungeon. I think that would be the best way to handle it. And personally, I would love that. Yes, please. A new Mystery Dungeon game, and not just anyone, but based off one of what is considered to be the best Mystery Dungeon to date. Hell, I personally, yeah, I personally find it right up there. If I have to have a discussion between which one is my personal favorite, it's going to be a battle between Super Mystery Dungeon and Explorers of Sky. So yeah, these are really big contenders here for what I would like to see from Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. And I would absolutely love to get some love for this title, because I know a lot of people may have not grown up with it, and I would love for them to get introduced to what many people call one of the best Pokemon stories out there from the side game. So yeah, that's personally what I would like to see for the Mystery Dungeon side of things for that side title. Now let's go ahead and talk about Pokemon. Well, actually, not Rangers. I don't expect anything from Rangers. I'm sorry. I think it would be really cool to see Rangers, but I don't think they're going to introduce it this generation. I think it might be coming later down the road, whenever the next Switch comes out. Because I really do believe that right now, where we are in, is probably going to be the last era of the last year of the Nintendo Switch. So I don't really think we're going to be getting anything new per se from this. I really do believe it's going to mainly be focusing on remakes and remasterings of titles. Keep that in mind for later. Yeah, that's what I essentially expect. That's why I suggested that the Mystery Dungeon game is not going to be a completely brand new title, but rather, once again, another remake. That one being of Explorers of Sky. And I don't imagine that will stop anytime soon with the remakes, because I also expect another remake to be presented in this particular presents that I would personally like to see be brought into this one. Now, the reason why I say this is mainly because of the fact that, well, I'm more, to me personally, I would not mind to just bring back old titles back into the current generation, because like I said before with Mystery Dungeon, I think this would be a great opportunity to get people reintroduced into these core elements and concepts. And especially given that these titles have come out from such a while back, I think it would be a great way to incorporate them into the new era of gaming. So the other title I expect to see some form of representation is Pokepark. That's right, the original first title of the Pokepark game is going to probably get a remake for some apparent reason, or just some form of representation here in this one. I would like to see that happen here. I think that would be a nice time to incorporate Pokepark again. We haven't had a title of that caliber in forever, really. So I would like for them to do this sort of thing again. I think it would be really great. I don't know what the story beats are going to be like, but hey, I think it's going to be good. So yeah, that's what I imagine to see. So for niche titles per se. Now, obviously, I would prefer like a brand new Pokemon, spin-off title, but I don't really see myself with seeing, or at least I don't expect seeing a new title. Let me rephrase it like that. I don't expect seeing a new title here with this one, mainly because of the fact that, well, I don't know. I really do feel they're playing it safe. I think more of their experimental things are probably going to be in the mobile game side of things. So I don't really think we're going to be getting introduced into new spin-off titles on the Switch. But I do believe they may go ahead and show off another sort of app slash concept for mobile devices that I think would be really cool to see happen. I don't know what it will be, but I think there might be something like that for the mobile side of things, like a brand new mobile game for the Pokemon franchise. So, hey, who knows? We'll find out then and there. Maybe one focusing on the TCG side, like an actual full-on competitive TCG sort of thing. I think that would be really cool. Now, mind you, we have TCG Online already for that, but let's try exploring more of that. Why don't we? In my opinion, I think it'll be really cool. But yeah, that's just a prediction on that end there. Now, the last thing I really expect to see from this, and once again, it's not really anything surprising per se, but but this is just a coinky dink. Okay, this isn't tied to anything. But once again, we are in the year of the dragon. Okay, and I would not mind if they were to go ahead and go above and beyond and continue that love for the Year of the Dragon by actually introducing a brand new Pokemon main series title that focuses on a dragon. Specifically, the original one. As you guys already know, Pokemon Black and White is, at least from what we've been seeing so far with Generation remakes, we've already got remakes of 1, 2, 3, and 4. We already completed 4 with BDSP, regardless of your opinions on what you think of the title or not. We already did get remakes of those. So a lot of people, myself included, are also expecting to see some form of a remake coming by with the Black and White games. Personally, I don't want that. Now, mind you, they're great titles. Let that be clear. Like, they're phenomenal titles. You deserve to play that title if you haven't yet. It is probably one of Pokemon's peak, despite a lot of people giving criticism to it because of the Pokemon roster at the time. But still, it genuinely was a wonderful experience from beginning to end, and in my personal opinion, was probably what revitalized Pokemon for a lot of people. Not X and Y, no, it was Black and White in particular. For just a really good story, great Pokemon quality of life updates, and just a lot of cool things that came from these titles. So I think it would be really awesome if they were to make a new Pokemon game that is centered around the area of the Black and White series, whether it is a sequel of the Black and White games or a retelling of these titles, or specifically a Legends format where we finally go back in time to sort of discover and learn the original dragon. I think that would be really cool to see and to understand and, you know, get an idea behind why all of this came to be, you know, and how everything played out the way it did. So I really do think that would be really awesome to just sort of spend time in the world of Legends once again for at least one more round here in the Nintendo Switch system with a title that focuses on the Black and White series. And you know what? That's actually pretty appropriate given the fact that we've already had this sort of experience with Black and White back then. If you guys recall with Black 2 and White 2 when those titles came out, I think we were already in the shift into the 3DS era. That's why most people didn't really get a chance to play those titles when they did, because we were expecting the next main jump into the main series of Pokemon with X and Y shortly after the announcement of the Nintendo 3DS. So yeah, I really do find that funny. If we were to get a Black and White retelling again, that many people are probably also going to be in the question of like, should I get this because the new Nintendo Switch 2 is coming out and probably should go ahead and get that, you know. So I don't know. I just think that a new title focused on the Black and White series would be great. Now, I did also see a lot of discussion that's been going on about a Let's Go sequel. Now, of course, we already had our hands on the Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee titles that came out at around the start of the Nintendo Switch's lifetime. So, what do we expect to see from another Let's Go title? And of course, a lot of people are saying, well, if we're going by order in that one, the next in this Let's Go series is going to be the second generation. So Let's Go Johto is going to be one of the main core aspects of that title. I don't know. I think it would be really cool to see that. I just don't think I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it's time for another Let's Go. I feel like the Let's Go Johto is going to be a year one for the new Switch more so than a remake or something like that. I feel like they would want to save that for the start of the Nintendo Switch 2, whatever it is going to be called. So I feel like that's probably going to be their plan for that one, if they do something like that. So yeah, that's really all I gotta say on that. Once again, it's just me rambling on about for like what I would like to see from these titles, and overall, very excited for what Pokemon Presents is going to have to offer this year. I don't expect much from it, like I do normally not expect much from these things every year, but it's always still a wonderful experience when we get a chance to sit down and react to these things. And I'm going to be reacting to it, and just sort of talk about what, could come from this, and maybe we might be surprised, or maybe we will be disappointed, or maybe it'll be a mix of both. I'm not sure, but that's why these predictions are worth having. So this is just simply my take on it. I just felt like rambling on for today, and I thought you guys might enjoy it. So yeah, apologies if I sound like a little stuttery and all here and there. These are mainly unscripted videos anyway to begin with, so I never really have anything on paper. These are just things I think off my noggin at the time. So yeah, so apologies if everything sounds a little weird and rough. But that doesn't change my feelings for what this present is going to be like, and I really do believe it's still going to be a genuinely good presentation. And I really do hope that they take the chance to prioritize the Year of the Dragon theme for all of their upcoming presentations. So fingers crossed that turns out to be the case. Now, I leave this question on to y'all here in the chat and then down in the description below, or wherever you may be watching this video. First of all, thank y'all so much for sharing your love and support lately in the comments and the likes and all that stuff. Really, really do mean that, and would love for you guys to come around and stick for more videos later down the road as well. I do have one that I'm gonna release sometime soon, so I hope you guys look forward to that. But in the meantime though, before that day comes, can you go ahead and leave a comment down below letting me hear your thoughts on what you personally think Pokemon Presents is going to be like for this year? Do you expect anything bombastic, or do you expect just the bare minimum or straight up disappointment? Like, what is it that y'all expect to see from this upcoming presentation? Leave your thoughts down below. And with that being said, my name is KG Prestige. Thank you all so very much for joining me here today, and I will talk with all of you lovelies later in whatever video I make. Take care, everyone, and as always, do me a solid and have yourselves an awesome day. Bye, everybody.